Scammed by contractors.
From the station with the most local news in our West Michigan, Fox 17 News at 10 starts right now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Janice Allen.
I'm Derek Francis. First tonight at 10 o'clock, after a 6-day shutdown, the Colonial pipeline resumed operations earlier this evening. The shutdown came after the 5,000-mile pipeline was hacked last week. Officials say a group identified as DarkSide demanded millions of dollars in cryptocurrency for the return of an important data they stole from the company. According to people familiar with the matter, at this point, Colonial Pipeline has not paid, and it's not looking like it'll have to. We're also told most of the important stolen data has been retrieved. In addition to security concerns, the shutdown of the line led to panic buying at gas stations all across the southeast part of our country, with many of them running out of supply.
It's just crazy right now, man. You just got to pray.
6 gallons of gas for $35. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Of course, a number of states already declared emergencies due to the shortage of gas. Even though it's been restarted, Colonial says it'll take several more days for the supply chain to return to normal, and some areas may continue to experience service interruptions during the startup period. Meanwhile, the FBI is continuing to investigate that hack.
And while that pipeline is in the national spotlight tonight, there's a different one here in Michigan that's been the topic of debate for years now. Many have called for Enbridge's Line 5 to be shut down, calling it an environmental risk. It runs through parts of Canada, Wisconsin, and Michigan, including under the Straits of Mackinac, while others say it's a necessary line for both supplies and for jobs. Tonight, it is still running despite the midnight deadline that was given by the state to stop. Tonight, we are going in depth, taking a closer look at the pipeline debate. Aaron Parsegian has a closer look at the lines throughout our state and their different functions.
We begin with Angeline McCall in the newsroom with a look at what Enbridge is saying about not turning Line 5 off. Angeline.
Yeah, Janice, Derek, back in November, Governor Whitmer revoked the easement for Line 5, which allows Enbridge to transport oil through its pipeline on the bottom of Lake Michigan, for instance. Governor Whitmer has cited that the old infrastructure to the pipeline makes it susceptible to spills, so she has ordered a May 12th deadline for the company to stop operations, and if they don't, her administration has threatened that they will have to pay the price. Line 5 at the center of a battle between Governor Whitmer and the pipeline's Canadian-based company, Enbridge. Governor Whitmer revoked the easement, with Attorney General Dana Nessel vowing to enforce it. In a tweet earlier this week saying, "We shouldn't be in a position where Canada stands to gain nearly all the benefit and the state of Michigan bears all the risks." With that deadline, the company says it has no plans to shut down. In a statement saying, "We will not stop operating the pipeline unless we are ordered by a court or our regulator," which we view as highly unlikely. Line 5 is operating safely, reliably, and is in compliance with the law. The state of Michigan has never presented any concrete evidence to suggest otherwise. The company added that they will continue to fight in court to operate. Currently, that battle is happening in federal court, with the company saying the issue is up to the feds, not up to the state, thanks to the Transit Pipelines Treaty of 1977 between Canada and the U.S. Steelworkers making a show in Lansing earlier this week by laying down their hard hats in an effort to keep Line 5 open. Meanwhile, environmental activists and Native tribes have joined the fight for the opposite side. As the Michigan Attorney General's office said in a statement, the governor acted within her authority to revoke and terminate the easement, and our department is actively pursuing the matter in court. Both Enbridge and the state of Michigan will meet in court next Tuesday as this legal battle continues. In the newsroom, Angeline McCall, Fox 17 News.
All right, Angeline, thank you for that. While Line 5 might be the most controversial in Michigan, it's certainly not the only pipeline running through our state.
Aaron Parsegian joining us live along the Kalamazoo River with an in-depth look at the pipeline system in Michigan. Aaron?
Yeah, Derek and Janice, there have always been concerns about pipelines that carry crude oil, but those came to the forefront here in Michigan back in 2010 when a pipeline ruptured here on the Kalamazoo River, causing one of the biggest inland oil spills in U.S. history, and putting in perspective the risks that happen when the worst case scenario happens.
The pipeline system in Michigan is vast, convoluted, and crisscrosses 120,000 miles. The majority carry natural gas, but about 3%, a little more than 3,500 miles, carry what's considered hazardous liquids, like propane, petroleum, and crude oil. This map shows where the lines are. Most are concentrated on the east side of the state, but the coverage spans across the Midden. and they have an important role in heating homes, fueling cars and planes, and even helping make household goods. Pipelines are widely considered one of the safer and more efficient ways to transport fuel, but that's not without the immense risk of an oil spill. Aging infrastructure makes it a bigger concern, says the head of U of M's Water Center.
That could have a huge impact on the economy, and not to mention ecological impacts as well.
In 2010, we saw it firsthand when Enbridge's Line 6 pipeline ruptured in Marshall, Michigan, sending nearly 1 million gallons of oil into the Kalamazoo River. The spill contaminated nearly 30 miles of it, harming wildlife and forcing the evacuation of dozens of homes. In the end, it cost more than $1 billion to clean it up. The fallout putting a spotlight on Enbridge's other pipeline, Line 5. The 68-year-old dual pipeline carrying propane and crude oil under the Straits of Mackinac between Michigan's two peninsulas. The aging line became the center of controversy, with many concerned it's putting a huge chunk of the world's fresh water supply at risk. The line supplies 65% of the propane demand in the Upper Peninsula.
And now, more than 10 years later, the Kalamazoo River here is springing back to life, but the memory of that spill brings a whole new dimension to the debate over pipeline safety here in Michigan. Now, if you want to check out that pipeline map for yourself, we have that on fox17online.com. Live in Kalamazoo County, Aaron Parseja.